What's going on, guys? I'm coming back to y'all with another deck tech video. This one won't be like my last one. I don't actually have a sideboard completely built for this one yet, so I may do an updated video in the future, but I wanted to show my build for modern mono blue Merfolk. I haven't seen too many deck techs up on YouTube of this. I believe I saw one from Tellerian Community College, and to be honest, he was the inspiration behind this deck. I have changed mine quite a bit from his particular build to suit my local meta. However, it's a fairly fun deck, nice, effective, nicely, a nice combination of aggro and control. So if you're one of those people who likes aggro and likes control, but you don't want to go, just one way or the other, this might be the best way to go. So let's go ahead and show off the deck. Running a playset of Mutavault. Obviously, Mutavault being a man land that will get boosted by all our lords is great. So, no explanation really needed there. So, I'm trying out another deck tech style. Let me know what you guys like best as far as how I do the deck techs. 2 Cavern of Souls. This just prevents us from being really countered. It keeps our Merfolk in play. It keeps them from it prevents them from being countered, prevents them from being negated, and also gives us any mana to play a Merfolk, which in this case is just an extra source of blue. And then I do run 14 basic islands. So the mana base of this deck is pretty straightforward, not really anything too complicated. Then of course we run the play set of the Master of the Pearl Trident, along with the playset of Lord of Atlantis, and the reason why is having 8 different creatures that give all our Merfolk +1/+1 and Island Walk is essential to the deck. Being 2 drops for 2, they're fairly easy to put out, and usually they get cheated out with Aether Vial, which you'll see here in a minute. So, 4 Lord of Atlantis and 4 Master of the Pearl Trident, they serve the exact same purpose. So let's go ahead and put those out there. Then we run 4 copies of Mera Rajiri. He's not quite as good as a Lord as the Master of Waves and Lord of Atlantis because he costs 1 more to play and he does not give the Island Walk. But he has the added benefit of whenever you play a Merfolk spell, you may tap or untap target permanent. So what we generally do with this guy is after we put him out, the next turn, we tap our Aether Vial, we put out a Lord, then we cast something, we untap our Aether Vial, and then we use our Aether Vial again to put out another Merfolk. So he helps us swarm the field pretty well. In some situations I have found him to be lacking, but in most situations he's actually fairly strong. Then I go for the 4 Silvergill Adepts. Again, pretty standard stuff. 2/1 for 2, with as an additional cost, reveal a Merfolk or pay 3. When it comes into play, you draw 1. So usually, you play this, you reveal a Lord because everyone knows you'll have one, and you get a free draw off of it, giving you some pretty decent card advantage. And then I've been doing the play set of Master of Waves. I know some people go for the Quarrelhelm Commander. I like Master of Waves better personally, but I haven't found him to be that amazing. I've considered swapping him for a playset of Curse Catchers, but in my online testing of the Curse Catchers, I just didn't find them to be very powerful either. So I'm looking for a better replacement for the Master of Waves, but he's overall not too bad a card. 4 drop, pro red, so he can't be burned. He's protected from Helix and from Lightning Bolt, so that's always good. He's another way to pump your Mutavault, so he's good for that. He acts as the Lord to all elementals you control, which means if you have 2 of these in play and a bunch of Lords, your Mutavault become just really big, hard to stop creatures that can pound in for a lot of damage, so he's good for that. And honestly, that's what he ends up getting used for the most. But he's token production, he's a good way to pump Mutavault, and he gets, being pro-red, he's protected from a lot of the burn that some people are playing these days. I do go for 1 Thassa. Thassa is just great for, if your devotion happens to be high enough, which most times it is. 5/5 chump block that gives a creature unblockable for 2 and lets you stack your deck. So I like the Thassa. And then I go for 1 Kira Great Glass Spinner. I'm likely going to take out one of the Master of Waves to mainboard a 2nd Kira because I just don't draw this card enough, and it is a game changer. It stops cards like not my camera. It stops cards like Doomblade and Path to Exile from killing your creatures, and it just ends up being a very powerful card to have. So I'll likely end up boarding in a 2nd one of those. Then I go for the full playset of Spreading Seas. Spreading Seas is just one of the best cards in the deck, in my opinion. Enchantment for 2 that turns a land into an island, and you get to draw a card. So basically what you use this for is you tap 2, you cast it, you make their best land an island. Maybe it's that Godless Shrine or something. And you pretty much screw up their entire mana base by doing so. You make all your Merfolk unblockable when you have a Lord of Atlantis or Master of the Pearl Trident in play, and then you get more card advantage. So, very powerful card. And actually, one second. I have heard some people talk about using Seize Claim instead, or in some cases even Aqueduct's Will in place. Aqueduct's Will is better in the fact that it's it puts a counter on the card as opposed to enchanting it. So, you know, obviously counters are more difficult to get rid of than enchantments are. And if you happen to control a Merfolk, you get to draw 1. It is a Merfolk spell itself, so it will trigger the Marrow Rejury ability, and it only costs 1. But the downside is it makes it an island in addition to its other types, meaning they can still tap it for any of the other color mana they need. So, I don't feel that Aqueduct's Will is as good. And Seize Claim, it just turns it into an island for 1 and doesn't do anything else. The additional draw card is really important, and part of why this card is so great, and it's, again, quite a game changer. Helps you smack in for a large amount of damage that they just cannot do anything about. Then I go for 2 copy of Mana Leak, just as additional security, just knowing that they won't be able to play some of their more important spells. Place it of Remand, again. Nice draw power, nice negate ability. Yeah, it does give it back to their hand, but what I generally do is I go Remand into a Mana Leak, so they tap out trying to cast 1 spell on their turn, and I get a free card out of the deal. So, place it of Remand. Again, nothing here is really out of the ordinary. Playset of Vapor Snag. It is just a strict upgrade from Unsummon in that they take 1 point of damage as well. There have been some cases where you need to actually Vapor Snag your own creature, and in that kind of situation, obviously Unsummon would be preferable because you won't take the 1 point. But generally, that 1 point of damage is just not all that relevant. But I like the Vapor Snag. I find it to be a very useful card. And then, last but not least, we have the playset of Aether Vial. Aether Vial is just a super game-changing card. Again, you drop this thing turn 1, and you know, turn 2 you have 1 counter on it. If you happen to run Curse Catcher, you get a free Curse Catcher out of it. Turn 3, you can have a free Lord in addition to whatever you use your mana on. So the Aether Vial is just an amazing card to the deck, and I couldn't understand why anyone wouldn't play a playset. So, like I said, my sideboard isn't complete, but I will show off a few cards that you might consider. I've already shown you the Aqueduct's Will. A lot of people actually love running these. I plan on sideboarding, I think, about 3 of these, just in case I find that they're, you know, I really need to disrupt their lands, or just in case I'm not drawing Spreading Seas enough and I really need to race them and get in for as much damage as I can. So, using these in addition to Spreading Seas would help you race your opponent into getting into a more aggro style strategy. I personally am going to be sideboarding 3 Kior's Dismissal, and the main reason why is it's an instant speed for 1 with a Strive of 1 that bounces enchantments to their owner's hand. So you can use this to get rid of Blood Moon, you can use this to get rid of any of those annoying cards that you may be facing. In some cases I've seen Waste Not be a game changer in Mono Black. So, yeah, Kior's Dismissal, I don't think it gets any kind of attention, but it really should. It is actually a fairly powerful card against the Blood Moon and Blue Moon type decks. And then, you know, Marrow Commerce is what you might consider. Allowing you to untap your Merfolk at the end of turn, again, being tribal, it will trigger the Marrow. But not really a sideboard there, just showing off some cards you might sideboard. So this is my build for Mono Blue Merfolk. Nothing really out of the ordinary, but if you guys have never played one of these decks, or tribal decks in general, I do recommend it. They are very fun, they are competitive, and I have actually found Merfolk to be stronger than, say, something like Mono Red Goblins, although I will be building a Mono Green Elves deck very soon that in my playtesting has managed to beat this Mono Blue deck almost every single time. So be on the lookout for that in the, not really the near future, but in the future. So, yeah, if you guys have a Mono Blue Merfolk deck or a Merfolk deck in general, feel free to share a link in the comments down below. Criticism is always welcome. I'd love to hear how I can improve the deck. I don't claim to be a professional player. I've only been playing the game for right about 4 or 5 months now. Or at least, you know, playing recently for 4 or 5 months. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the deck tech and get out there and play some games. Catch y'all later.